All right, let's go.
Jay.
All right, so welcome everyone. You are attending the September 7th BMZA zoning docket. My name is Katie Byrne. I'm the acting executive director. Just going to go through a few WebEx functions. If you've signed in via the internet, you're considered an attendee. And right now you do not have the ability to mute or unmute yourself. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you might see a microphone, some camera buttons, and a chat feature. There's I think another button with more options, but you should be able to see the board, myself on the screen. When your case is called, I will make you a panelist and unmute you. If your camera is functional at that time, you can turn that on and we'll be able to see you. Any attendee that calls in, what will happen is I will go through the different call-in users. And if you're calling in from the phone, you will hear 2 beeps when I unmute you. If I unmute you and it's the case you want to speak on, please speak up right away. So before I move on to the next caller. If you do not speak up, I will mute you and move on to the next caller. If you're unable to connect via audio, please use the chat feature. If the speaker is inaudible, we'll ask you to call back. There are 2 different ways you can testify on a matter. You can use the raise your hand function, or you can use the chat feature. So if you put a message in the chat, let me know if you're here in support or in opposition of a particular matter when we get to that matter, and I will be able to unmute you. The order of testimony for each of the appeals goes as follows. The applicant goes first, followed by any support, then opposition, and then the applicant gets the last word and testimony will close. Anyone speaking on any matter before this board is testifying under oath and required to speak the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you have any issues with WebEx, please call our office at 410-396-4301. We have someone here in the office that will hopefully be able to help you. If you're having technical difficulties and can't participate for some reason, email us at bmza@baltimorecity.gov as to what you would have testified, but for your technical difficulties. We have 4 members here for today's hearing, and I will turn this over to our chair, Mr. Fields.
James, you're muted.
Yep.
Oh, I was without video in town. I'm going to remain without video because that's not functioning properly. Okay, so the board will vote on each case and make a decision at the end of the docket. You can feel free to stay online to hear that deliberation. Otherwise, you can call the BMZA office tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. The number is 410-396-4301. In any event, you should receive your resolution in the mail within 30 days. Now, we ask that you not do any work until your resolution is received, and certainly don't do any work within Baltimore City without pulling the proper permits. Are a couple of cases on the docket that have been postponed. Those cases are case number 2021-143, 901 through 911 South Elwood Avenue. The appellant is AB Associates. For that matter, will not go forward today. Again, 901 through 911 South Elwood Avenue. That case has been postponed. Second case being postponed today is 2021-155, 919 Fawn Street. The appellant is Mo Kaviani. Again, 919 Fawn Street will not go forward today. Line for that case for the rest of your day, and that'll be rescheduled. We do have a fair number of consent cases, comprises the majority of the docket today. Consent cases are those cases for which the board has sufficient information to approve the appeal. All those cases receive any reports we have from planning and staff. Ask the appellant if there's anything else they'd like to add to the application. We'll resolve those matters in order with the call. And then call first case number 2021-170, 2501 through 2513 West Franklin Street. The appellant is McDonald Corporation, and this matter addresses or involves raising the existing structure consolidating the lots 2501 through 2525 West Franklin Street to construct a new two-story, 4,687 square foot McDonald's restaurant facility with accessory drive-through lane. Variances sought are for signage and parking. Now, hearing a report from planning and staff.
Thank you. Martin French for the Baltimore City Planning Department. Planning Department has no comment on this application, but notes for the record that this applicant has been working with the department for a year on the development plan for this site. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
This is also conditional use as far as a drive-through facility. In addition, the board, BMZA application number 2021-125, the board granted conditional use for drive-through facility for different development involving some of the same lots. So I have Caroline Hecker, who is here on behalf of the applicant. She has also submitted her PowerPoint presentation, which was forwarded to the board this morning, identifying additional features and information. So Ms. Hecker.
Good afternoon, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg on behalf of the applicant. As Ms. Byrne indicated, this may look a little familiar to the board. The board approved last year a similar redevelopment plan for this site involving the McDonald's. There is an existing McDonald's here that they're proposing to rebuild. The original plan had incorporated some property to the rear that was going to be redeveloped as a Family Dollar, but that deal has fallen apart. We're proceeding just with the McDonald's portion at this point, which has involved the reorganization of the development plan. But the variances and the conditional use that we're seeking today are very similar to what was previously approved by the board last year.
Okay. Well, I would ask you, Ms. Hecker, is there anything you'd like to add? I know you submitted the PowerPoint presentation. We do have that, and everything appears to be in order. Are there any questions from the board?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, the board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
On the next matter on the consent docket, case number 2021-177, 2122 Druid Hill Avenue. The appellant is Bashar Hijazi, and this matter involves variance to bulk and yard regulations related to the use of the premises as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 3 dwelling units. I'll hear any reports from planning and staff.
Planning Department has no comment on this application at this time. Thank you.
This particular property, the land use card research shows that it was previously approved for 3 dwelling units. I want to say back in 1956, again, 63 and 67. The applications before the board are for minimum lot area variance, 4,500 square feet are required, 1,440 square feet is proposed. It's a 3,060 square foot variance for lot area coverage requested. In addition, off-street parking would be required. 3 spaces are required, 0 are proposed. So they would need a 3-space variance. So I will move Mr. Hijazi as a panelist. Mr. Hijazi?
Yeah, how you doing? Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hijazi.
Thank you.
Sir, is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
No, basically is, when we took the property, it was 3 units. Everything was existing, 3 meters, 3 gas meters, 3 electric meters. And so we just have to re-establish this, the zoning there. And on the top of that, what we did is we pay, and the parking in the back, we did put the concrete all the way for 40 feet. So it can fit almost 4 cars, on the back, on the back of the building. And cross street from that on Road Hill is all vacant lots, so there's plenty of space over there. So I appreciate you guys give us the consideration to re-establish the zoning as it was before.
Very well.
Just to clarify, you're not asking for parking variance, you have parking on site now?
We have, what we did is we did 40 feet by 16 feet concrete parking in the back, and so just plus you have all the space on the Road Hill, which is across street from there. There was a lot of vacant lots. So, but what we did is we put the concrete in the back just in case there is no parking that's available in the back of the building.
All right, so you still want the variance to 3 parking spaces, but you've created some just in case.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very well. Sir, the board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
Next case, 2021-180, 2910 Dillon Street. The appellant is Carballo Architecture, and this matter addresses variance to bulk yard regulations related to construction of a second floor rear addition and a third floor addition. Now, hear any reports we have from planning and staff.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
There are 2 variances being requested. A minimum rear yard setback, 20 feet is required, 8 feet is proposed. That will be a 12-foot rear yard setback variance requested. Maximum lot coverage variance, 80% maximum, 90% is proposed. So it would be a 10% variance to lot coverage. And Mr. Carbello, I believe you are unmuted.
Yes, thank you. I have nothing further to add.
Very well, Mr. Carballo. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, case number 2021-182, 2914 Hollands Ferry Road. The appellant is Bobby Birches, and this matter seeks a height variance required to construct a detached garage in the rear, 24 by 24 by 24 at the apex. Hear any reports you have from planning and staff?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
2 variances requested, a height variance for an accessory structure, 15 feet is the maximum. They're requesting 16 feet 2 inches proposed, so it's a 1 foot 2 inch variance to height. And then a rear yard setback, 25 feet is required, 2 feet are proposed, so it's a 23-foot rear yard setback. And Mr. Burgess, I've made you a panelist, sir, and you are unmuted.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
No, I just appreciate you guys for hearing me out. I'm renovating a 105-year-old house, and it has very little storage. So being able to have a larger garage would be paramount for myself and my family to be able to have more storage space.
Very well. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal, sir.
I did have one question, if possible. In regards to applying for permits, do I need to wait until I receive the declaration in the mail to include that in the permit application?
General matter, we do request that you do that. That
Yes,
you
sir.
have your decision in hand, and that way there are no questions and everything's clean.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much for your time.
All right, thank you. Good luck, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Case number 2021-183, 1000 West 41st Street. The appellant is Jesus Loya Jr., and this matter involves a variance to the bulk yard regulations related to using the premises as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 3 dwelling units. Variance is sought or required for off-street parking. Here, any reports from planning and staff?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
The historic land records on this particular property shows the authorized use as 2 dwelling units. The applicant is seeking 3. The zoning code says that a multifamily is 2 or more. There's no restriction on whether or not the board can grant that 3rd dwelling unit. So the variances requested for 3 dwelling units are minimum lot area variance, 3,750 square feet is required. 2,335 square feet is proposed. That's a 1,415 square foot variance. And then the off-street parking would be for 3 spaces, 0 are proposed. And Mr. Loya, I have unmuted you, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, good afternoon.
Is there anything you'd like to add to your application today, Mr. Loya?
I do not have any additional comments for the application today.
Very well. The board, having heard your appeal, I believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Calling case number 2021-184, 27 South Fulton Avenue. The appellant is Deborah Yisrael. The matter addresses or seeks variances to bulk regulations to have commercial use on the ground floor and to use the remainder, second and third floors as 2 dwelling units. Also, a variance is required for off-street parking. Here, support from planning and staff.
Thank you. Planning Department has no comment on this application, but for the record, we note that this property is located in the Union Square Historic District, and therefore any work on the exterior of the property will need to proceed according to an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you.
2 variances request, 2 issues before the board. 1, conditional use, neighborhood commercial establishment, retail goods store, and a minimum lot area variance. 1,500 is required, 1,154 is proposed, so it's a 346 square foot lot area variance that's being requested. Again, to reiterate what Mr. French has said, this is a CHAP district, and in order for permits to move forward, there must be notice authorization to proceed from CHAP. In addition, alcohol and tobacco sales would be prohibited at this location. Prior research shows that the first floor was used as a carry-out food shop. And Miss Yisrael, I've unmuted you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you in agreement with those conditions of having CHAP authorization and no alcohol or tobacco sales at the premises?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What business do you intend to operate out of that first floor space?
Okay. The first floor, I do like groceries because of the building is close to the senior assistant living, and they live on that store. So I'm selling groceries. I don't sell tobacco. And I thank you guys to give me the opportunity to hear me, and please begging for me to have the unit upstairs. I'm not selling tobacco. I'm not selling alcohol. I don't even drink and smoke. I just want to make the 2 units so I can live in the 1 unit and rent the other units, because that building cost me a lot of money. To fix the building is over 200,000. And even the windows, I just ordered the windows for $34,000 for the windows. I have a lot of loan that I took to do the development. So that's the reason I want the 2 units. We have enough space upstairs for 2 units. I'm appealing and begging for you guys to give me the opportunity to do the units upstairs. As far as parking, the building is a corner unit building. It's a lot of street parking.
Okay. Very well. Thank you for that additional information, ma'am. I'm happy to tell you that the board, having heard your appeal, believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you so much. May God bless you guys.
In other words, that's a yes.
Thank you so much. As a single parent, I have a lot of mortgage to pay. So at least
good luck.
I can.
Good luck with your business, ma'am. Thank you.
So I have a question. So I'm gonna continue now because they hold on to my permit to my application for 2 years since I applied to get a building, to get the construction permit. So so let me call the state and continue with a permit, or what's the procedure, sir?
Okay. Certainly feel free to do what you need to do to move your project forward. We ask that you not sort of undertake any construction or anything until you actually receive your resolution. You have that in hand. So we've effectively, agreed to approve your appeal, but that agreement will be in writing when you receive your resolution. Okay.
Yes, sir. So it's okay to do the 2 units, just like what I applied for, sir.
Yeah, what's in your application, we have approved.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Case number 2021-185, 3601 Hamilton. That's Hamilton Avenue. The appellant is Manuel Guerra. This matter involves a variance required to install a 24-foot by 20-foot concrete slab in the front yard. I'll hear from planning and staff.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
What's being requested is a variance, locational variance to allow the installation in the front yard forward of the building line of an existing dwelling. So it's location variance. Minimum front yard setback, 25 feet is required, 0 is proposed. Corner side yard setback variance, 20 feet is required, 6 feet is proposed, so it's a 4-foot variance. Only issue with this application is that it will be subject to DOT review and approval, but that's part of the permit process based on the fact that this property is on a corner lot. So as part of the construction permit, it will have to go through DOT approval. Let's see. I do not see Manuel Jara. So if you are here for 2021 185 3601 Hamilton, please either raise your hand or put your name in the chat. All right, Edwards Webeck. All right, here we go. Mr. Zebek?
Yes, can you hear me?
Barely, sir. Could you speak up?
Can you hear me now?
A little better, but hopefully this won't take too long and we'll hear you sufficiently. Sir, is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
So I'm the purchasing agent for a client that just purchased that property.
Okay.
We purchased it with the assumption that the driveway would be there. They went ahead and put it in without, I guess, getting the permission first. So my client has been in the house now for over 30 days. Money's held in escrow. And if it's not granted, we're not quite sure how that would affect the sale. It would disrupt a lot of people.
Okay. Well, thanks for that additional information. But I'm happy to tell you that the board, having heard this appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve the appeal. So
thank you.
We're ready to go.
But it still has to go through permit review. So this is the first step, just so you know, that the permit department, once they get the approval from the board, still has to review the actual permit.
Okay, so I can reach out to the builder and the selling agent and let them know that they'll receive something in the mail?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. I apologize for them not being present.
No problem. As long as we have some representation, that'll get the result that you need.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to case number 2021-187, 3512 Eastern Avenue. The appellant is Josh Nicodemus. This matter addresses variance to bulk yard regulations related to the construction of a 3rd and 4th floor addition, the terrace at the 2nd floor rear, and decks at 3rd and 4th floor rear. To use the premises as mixed use, commercial use on the ground floor. The remainder is as 22 dwelling units, and the variance is required for off-street parking. I'll hear from planning and staff.
Thank you. Planning Department has no comment on this application, but would like to note for the record, this property is located in the Highland Town Business Area Urban Renewal Plan area, and the design of this development as proposed is going to be subject to review according to the terms of that plan. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
This is on the corner. It's at 3512 Eastern Avenue. 2 requests are: 1, minimum rear yard setback variance, 20 feet is required, 0 is proposed, so it'd be a 20-foot setback. And a lot area variance, 9,762.5 square feet is required, 6,490.5 square feet is proposed. So that would be a variance of 3,272 square feet. What's proposed is ground level commercial, multifamily dwelling, 22 dwelling units above. It's a combination of the C1E zoning district and C2. And Nate Prettle is here for the applicant. Mr. Prettle?
Good afternoon. Thank
Good
you.
afternoon, Mr. Prettle.
Mr. Chair.
Is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
Sure. I will just add that the development team has been meeting with the Highlandtown Main Street's staff on some of the design issues that Mr. French had mentioned. And this is an important first step in the project. And we look forward to continuing to meet with them to make sure that we comply with the urban renewal plan requirements as stated. And that's about it.
And I believe we also have Orlando Snowden as well. Make him a panelist. Mr.
Hello.
Snowden.
Good afternoon, sir. You're a little broken up.
You hear me?
I can hear you now. What would you like to add?
Not, I mean, I didn't know I had to add anything.
That's fine. It's not necessary, but I guess you were on the call, and so we obliged to at least acknowledge you and call on you to the extent you did. Okay, very well. Is there anyone else who needs to be?
No, I don't see anyone else in the chat and no one else on the list who's asking to speak on this.
Very well. Well, I can tell you all that the board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right. Okay, case number 2021-188, 54 West Street. The appellant is Tyler Stanek. This matter involves variance to bulk yard regulations related to the construction of a two-story rear addition, third floor addition, and rooftop. We'll hear from planning and staff.
Planning department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Looks like we have two requests here. Minimum rear yard setback, 20 feet is required, 3 feet is proposed, so a 17-foot variance requested. Maximum lot coverage, 80% maximum, 95% is proposed, so a 15% variance to lot area coverage is requested. Mr. Stink, I've made you a panelist and you are unmuted.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Good afternoon, sir. Is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
We can't hear you, sir.
Didn't hear you. Lose him.
He's unmuted. If you'd like to put it in the chat, I can read that to the board, what you would like to say. Or if you have nothing to add, if you could put, oh, here he goes. It's in the chat. There is nothing I need to add. I'm having issues with the speaker.
Got it. Understood. Thank you. The board, having heard your appeal, Mr. Stanek, I believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. That will conclude the.
He said, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Now that will conclude the consent portion of the docket. And then we'll head to the regular portion. We only have, I think, 3 matters. So we'll call case number 2021-113, 768 West Hamburg Street. Ellen is Defara Thomas. This is a request to use the premises as 2 dwelling units. And I'll hear from planning and staff.
Planning department notes that this property is in Washington Village Urban Renewal Plan area. Proposed use is not prohibited by that particular urban renewal plan. Beyond that, the department has no additional comment at this time. Thank you.
Based on the research conducted, there is no land use card available. However, in the city's database, the only use identified is as a single family dwelling. This property is located in R8, and to make it a 2-family dwelling, which would be multifamily, it would require a city council ordinance. This board does not have jurisdiction to convert a single family to a multifamily unless the applicant has evidence to show that it was an approved multifamily use. And Ms. Thomas, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead. Tell us how it is that the board would be in a position to approve this, given our research indicating that this has only been a single-family dwelling.
Yes, so I actually purchased a property on October 1st of 2020. It was advertised on MLS as a two-family home. It has been renovated as such, and that happened prior to my purchase in October. I was not aware that there was no UNO. It was my first property purchase, and I failed to find that out, and the title company missed it, and the realtor missed it somehow. However, the previous owner has already renovated the property. There are two separate electrical meters. There's one water and two actual individual apartments. So I was under the impression when I spoke with the zoning office that this was the route that I needed to take in order to receive permission to have the UNO be permitted for a two-family home. But I guess I'm understanding that if I understood what you said correctly, the board does not have permission to grant my request. Is that?
That's correct. Given the district in which property sits, you can only get to a multifamily dwelling by city ordinance. And because legally it's only been a single family dwelling.
And just as a side note, ma'am, I just looked up in the system again. There was a use and occupancy issued for this particular property on June 15th, 2020, and it was for a single family dwelling at this address. So as the chair said, you can reach out to your council person, your city council person. The board doesn't have the ability to undo this last use and occupancy permit.
I see. And at that time, and I was told, and I apologize, by the zoning office that it was not approved when they applied for it in June of 2020. I didn't try to verify that further, but at that time it had already been renovated into the two-family property. So I'm not exactly sure how, if it was inspected, how they would have missed that it has been renovated into a two-family home. But just so that I understand, my steps going forward would be to go to my city council person and proceed from there, requesting, I guess, a city ordinance in order to have this be made into officially be granted the right to have a two-family property in this zone, the R8 zone. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, ma'am.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, calling case number 2021-117, 3116 East Federal Street. The appellant is James Wilson. And this matter addresses a variance to bulk regulations related to using the premises for two dwelling units. Variance required for off-street parking. I'll hear from planning and staff.
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this property was last authorized for use as a single-family dwelling according to records available to the Planning Department itself. Property is in the R6 zoning district, in which conversion of dwellings by ordinance or by approval of the board is not authorized. And therefore, the department is recommending disapproval of this application unless lawful multifamily dwelling use of this property was previously established, because the zoning code does not authorize conversion of a single family dwelling to a multifamily dwelling in the R6 zoning district where the property is located. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Again, restating what Mr. French has stated, staff research, there's no land use card available for this particular property. Looking at the original database, the parcel tag identifies it as a single family attached dwelling only, not a multifamily. And again, this is an R6, so the board does not have jurisdiction to permit a conversion, and neither does the council. So there is no conversion authority in the code for any property in R6. Mr. Wilson, I made you a panelist and you are unmuted, sir.
Yes, how you doing? Good morning.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wilson.
Good afternoon, yes.
Okay, so you're present and you heard the explanations of planning and Ms. Byrne regarding the fact that the board's hands are effectively tied with regard to your request for approval. We have no authority. There is no authority in the code. Given where this property sits, there are no conversions allowed to multifamily. In that, do you understand that?
Yeah, so I understand it. But when I purchased this property, I purchased it as a duplex. It's set up as a duplex. It has 2 electric meters, 2 gas meters. There's 2 bills that come to this house. Every house on that block is a duplex. Matter of fact, I'm in a deal to purchase another house on the same block as a duplex. So,
well, I would encourage you before you close that deal to check with zoning to figure out to confirm how it's zoned. Oftentimes, and we see it far too many times, properties have been converted, but they've been converted unlawfully.
Okay.
There's no record of that conversion. So, I guess the magic words are it has to be legally converted, to a multifamily.
Okay.
The history on this property is that it never has been, and so the records reflect that it's only been a single family. And here now, on this date in 2021, there is no provision in the zoning code to authorize any such conversion now. So unfortunately, although it presented and operated as a multifamily dwelling, that was in violation of the code and of the law, and we can't change that at this point.
Okay. So what is my next recourse to change it?
I do not know. Probably the next drafting of the zoning code, unless there's a change to the zoning code as written for no conversions in our 6th district. Again, it's unfortunate, but as I said, if you're planning on any other deals, the time to check the zoning is before you purchase the property.
Yeah.
Because a number of properties out there that are, they walk like a duck, talk like a duck. You think it's a duck, but legally it's not.
Listed on Redfin as a multi-family unit, like 2 dwelling units. There's a picture of the 2 meters on the Redfin page and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we took it as my realtor took it as being a duplex. And we were receiving 2 bills, so paying the 2 different bills.
I just looked back and there's no permit history for that construction, but our database only goes back to 2004. The issue is there's no historic land use card for this. So when the property was entered into the system, legally it was identified as a single family dwelling. So we have no way of knowing when the work was done and if it was done legally or not. And the best way for you to know is not always to rely on the realtor and what's posted. What you should do is call 410-396-4126, ask what the legal use is, or you can come down here to 417 East Fayette Street and ask for a copy of the land use card and ask for a copy of the last use and occupancy permit before you buy anything.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Calling the final case on the docket. Case number 2021-179, 4503 through 4507 Pennington Avenue. The appellant is Frank Zapishek, and this is a request to use the premises as a tavern and to add live entertainment. I'll hear from planning and staff.
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this property is in the Brooklyn and Curtis Bay business area, urban renewal plan area. That particular urban renewal plan does not prohibit or further restrict the proposed use. The application proposes live entertainment However, it proposes it at a maximum sound level of 115 decibels, measured at 10 feet from any point on the property. The department notes that this property is on a major thoroughfare. It has a firehouse immediately north of it, which I'm sure makes some sound if the sirens go off. However, it is attached to a row of dwellings and is also across the street from a dwelling. Therefore, the department believes that a more appropriate maximum sound level would be 80 decibels. The department is therefore recommending approval of this application subject to these conditions, in addition to any conditions which the board may establish. First, that sound level is limited to 80 decibels, measured at 10 feet from the property. Second, a copy of the use and occupancy permit for the premises must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. Third, a copy of the written approval by the board of the live entertainment provided on the premises, including details of any restrictions or limitations on the live entertainment provided, must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. And finally, a copy of all other permits and licenses required pursuant to the written approval of the board must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
Reiterating what Mr. French has said, the application is to add accessory live entertainment to an existing tavern use. The BMZA has the ability to approve any conditional use on the establishment and may impose conditions on location, construction, maintenance, operation of the conditional use, restrict or limit anything that it considers necessary for the protection of the public interest on consideration of the standards. We have a petition that was submitted in support. We have 15 neighbors who have signed the petition supporting the live entertainment at Frank's Bay Tavern at 4507 Curtis Avenue. We have a letter in opposition from Action Baybrook. The citizens of Curtis Bay through community associations, Community of Curtis Bay Association and Action Baybrook oppose the excessively loud karaoke and live entertainment requests of Frank's Bay Tavern based on the following issues. Immediately adjacent and attached to a row of 10 residences on Pennington Avenue and within 300 feet of almost 30 residences, which would be disturbed by the noise of live entertainment and excessively loud karaoke. Parking lot is small and not able to accommodate more than 7 or 8 cars, so that parking for customers would be parking on the streets of Curtis Bay and inconveniencing residents in the adjacent firehouse. Frank's made material misrepresentations in his application, including its location diagonally adjacent to local park, and Frank's did not contact Curtis Bay Association or Action Baybrook regarding this request. So it was, I believe, included with your packet, some additional information. It was signed by Rodette Jones, president of Curtis Bay, and Jan Eveland, CEO of Action Baybrook. I have Frank Zavchuk. Please let me, sorry if I mispronounced your name, sir, and he is here as the applicant and is unmuted. Is there anyone else that needs to be with you, sir, unmuted as the applicant?
My wife should be on there as well, Karen Zapashek.
Okay, I'll make her a panelist as well. All right, she's also a panelist and unmuted.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Afternoon, folks. Tell us about your project and what you intend to.
We are just looking to add karaoke on Saturday nights. If you notice in the petition that I sent in, the very house that's attached to our building has approved it. They don't hear our music even when we have our stereo on. We have a vestibule area where we have an inside door that's closed all the time. You really do not hear the music outside of the building past the parking lot. The fire department doesn't hear our music. They're fine with it. I just don't see where it's a disturbance. And our parking lot will hold about 10 to 15 cars.
All right. You heard planning suggest that the sound level be limited to 80 decibels.
That is fine.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, that is fine.
Question, did you seek to reach out to the community before moving forward with your application?
No, at this point, we had not. I honestly didn't even really think about that.
Well, I'm actually a member of the Greater Baybrook Association, and I know that, when we originally purchased the property, I tried to reach out to the Curtis Bay Association. They've not been active. They normally meet once a month at the rec center because it's our tavern, our parking lot. Then across the street is the fire station, and right behind the fire station is the Curtis Bay Park, and then there's a recreation center. Curtis Bay Association has not been active, and I'm not even familiar with Action Baybrook, which is surprising because I don't think they're a member of the Greater Baybrook Association. So I apologize that we didn't reach out to them, but we did take the time to talk with our neighbors that are adjacent to us, and they are in support. And like Frank said, we have this, as you come into our door, there's a whole inside door that is closed at all times. Whether we have jukebox on or not, we always keep that indoor closed. So music really is not traveling that far.
Okay, what are you're limiting your intent is to limit the music to karaoke to just Saturday nights?
We really don't want it to be limited to just Saturday nights.
I thought that's what you said when you got on.
Well, that is exactly what our plan is right now for Saturday nights. But we may do a Friday night, we may do possibly a weeknight, but we don't really want to be limited on what night we can have our live karaoke or our karaoke.
Okay, what are the hours that you're open, and what are the hours during which the karaoke will be carried on?
We're open from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. and karaoke will probably be from like 7 till midnight or 7 to 11.
Would you be willing to cut it off at 11?
Sure.
Okay.
So is that 7 to 11 every night or 7 to 11 on Saturday?
Most likely it's going to be Saturday nights.
Well, you're saying most likely, but if we place the condition that you had, well, you tell us if you want it every night, just tell us that's what's in your application.
On the application, I believe it said 2 to 3 nights a week, if I'm recalling correctly.
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt. We definitely want the ability to have it either on a Friday or Saturday night. I really don't see us having it during the week. So I'm fine with a restriction of Friday or Saturday night.
Friday or Saturday?
Friday or Saturday, yes. It really depends on who we can get to play, whether or not they can do it on Saturday night or whether or not they can do it on Friday night.
No, I understand. Your application says 2 or 3 nights. You say Friday and Saturday, or at least have that ability to do it Friday and Saturday.
No, he said Friday or Saturday.
Well, that's what I'm
Or
trying to
just
clarify.
includes
Yeah,
that's
and
how it
or.
works. So yeah, we don't have to say and or includes and technically. That's
I
the
can tell
math
you-
major in me coming out.
I can tell you we're not going to have it both nights. I can tell you that.
But you might switch the nights.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay, understood. All right. So you want to cut it off at 11 p.m. Friday or Saturday during a given week. 80 decibels, you'd be willing to limit that to.
I'd really like the ability to stretch that to midnight if that's possible. We usually do like a 7 to midnight and then we
It's your
close at 2.
application. I just need to know what it is you're asking so that we can decide, so we can rule on it. So
How about 7 to midnight, Friday or Saturday?
Okay, midnight.
And again, our neighbor directly next to us doesn't seem to have a problem with it because they currently don't hear the music now. And that's because, we keep doors closed and then there's that inner door that's always closed.
Plus, we also have our walk-in cooler and our storage area, which is about 10 feet of space between brick walls, between our bar and the very adjacent house.
Okay.
So they don't hear the jukebox at all.
Okay, any additional questions for Mr. and Mrs. Zapchek? No? All right. Thank you, folks. You'll get the final word. We'll hear from, do we have anybody else on the line, Katie? Or is it just the letters that we're dealing?
I am not sure, Mr. Mustavacek, do you know of anybody that's here in support of your application before I start to go through the 2 call-in users and check with the other individuals that are possibly in opposition?
No, other than the petition, it's just my wife and myself.
Okay, we have 2 call-in users. There's only, it looks like 2 other people on the line or that are emailed in, or I'm sorry, virtually in. If you are here in opposition, please put in the chat or raise your hand if you wish to testify in opposition. I'll be going through the call-in users now. So if you hear 2 beeps as a call-in user and you wish to testify in opposition, please speak up.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay. Hello? Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. What's your name, ma'am?
Yeah, my name is Rhoda Jones. I'm the president of Community Association, and we have not heard about this time applying for this permit for the use. And like I said, the community, he says the community, he had went to the block, but we had not heard about it, you know. And kind of like we would like with the community association, we do have meetings and stuff. And now I'm going to make sure he get that information. We have a meeting coming up on Thursday. We have been doing our meetings through Zoom. It was originally at the rec center, but nevertheless or whatever. But we had not heard that he was having this until it was like secondhand information that he was doing this. He requested this permit. And what we are concerned about as the community association is the people that surrounded him, you know, with the music, the issue of the loud music, and especially the fire department across the street from it. And as far as, and like I said, that establishment is joint to a residential house, you know, and also right directly across the street from the fire department. So that's why I was saying, and then it is already a problem with the parking right there on that corner already, and I believe that will bring more people to that, you know, to the neighborhood, and also especially to that corner as far as parking concerned.
And you're a member of which association?
Okay, it's the Curtis Bay Community Association. I'm the president of the Curtis Bay Community Association. My name is Rodette Jones. And we like I said, we do meet on Thursdays by Zoom, and I will make sure that you get a Zoom link. You know, usually people come in and when they want to do new stuff, you know, it is presented to the community association.
When you learned of this particular hearing, was any communication made to the members of the association?
Actually, we just learned about it. Actually, last month when it was rescheduled, and then again this month, you know, this month today it was rescheduled for today.
Okay. Well, the question was, once you learned, did the communication go out to the members of the association to weigh in, given that the hearing was scheduled for today?
Say that again, sir.
When you learned about it, did you reach out to the members of the association?
Yes, we did. Okay. Yes, we did reach out to the members of the association. Yeah.
Okay, and that resulted in your letter?
These are, say it again?
That resulted in the letter that you wrote August 20th, 2021?
Yes, sir, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay. Are you aware of any concerns about the music coming from that location to the jukebox to now?
Well, to now, I'm not aware of any music coming from the jukebox, but you know, I haven't surveyed the block to see. It's kind of like one-sided at the moment, you know, until we go down there and survey it also to see what the people say about it. I think that it should, you know, we should wait before we make a judgment call because it's one-sided.
Well, your letter was drafted and dated August 20th, 2021. Did you do anything between then and now?
No, we hadn't done anything between now and then. No, we haven't.
Okay. Any other questions for this witness?
No.
All right. Thank you. You're muted, Katie.
Sorry about that.
All right.
I'm going to go to the next call-in user. If you wish to speak and you hear two beeps, please speak up. Okay, hearing none. No one else has raised their hand or put anything in the chat that they wish to testify. So we'll go back to the applicants for the last word.
Yeah, this is Frank Zapchik. I'd just like to add, I'm a 20-year veteran. I'm a retired Baltimore City Police. We've remodeled this bar. It's the nicest, cleanest, trouble-free bar in the area. We don't have any trouble. I wish they had approached us when they found out about it. I was not even aware of their community association. We deal with the Baybrook Alliance.
Okay.
Mr. Zapachek, I have a question for you, Ms. Zapachek.
Yes.
Up to this point, did you haven't, there were no posting issues with your sign out front, right, to your knowledge?
No,
No.
it's been posted the entire time.
Okay.
And we are a member of the Greater Baybrook Association. And I believe Miss Jones is also, she may be a member, and I know that I was not approached by her. I just, you know, I'm actually from Brooklyn. I went to Curtis Bay Elementary. I'm very much familiar with the area. And I know that I tried to track down the Curtis Bay Community Association, and I'm sure COVID kind of put meetings to the side. But like I said, there doesn't seem to be a big web present, online present. I actually reached out to a couple of websites and I didn't get any response. So we are trying to be active in the community. Like we said, I was born and raised there. I went to Ben Franklin Middle School, and Frank was a police officer there. So we're very in tune with the community, and we have already reached out to our neighbors that are just next to us. And you have the petition that they are in support of that.
All right. There are no more questions for Mr. and Mrs. Zapachek. I guess that'll conclude the testimony on this matter, and we'll take it up deliberation. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the docket.